Hello everybody and welcome to hashtag Toe to Toe. I'm Andy Clarke and our guest this week, Conor Benn, who I'm sure you recognise. And I'm sure you've also noticed that we are not in Sky Studios this week. We've decamped down to the Matchroom gym in leafy Essex to take in the gym sights and sounds, and it has to be said, smells as well. And this is where you come every day to put all the hard work in. You've got a fight coming up on April the 20th. First time we'll see you in a little while.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been about 10 months. By the time I fight, it's been about 10 months since my last fight. It's good to be back, ready to show the progress. You know, because I'm so young, I progress every year, and then the progress shows because I'm only so young, and strength will just keep coming and coming.
Been a bit frustrating because you've had that spell out with the hand injury. The last couple of years has been a little bit stop-start, so I'm sure you're eager to get back in.
Yeah, but that doesn't do me the world of wrong. Having the injuries slow it all down a little bit. You've got to look at the positive sides to it. I haven't got my man strength yet. I'm still young. I'm only getting better as I get older. And taking my time, learning maturity in the ring, maturity out the ring. All these play massive factor into being the best person you can be on fight night, the best fighter you can be. So, I'm far from my prime, and, everything happens for a reason.
Well, plenty of questions for you. They came flooding in after people got wind of the fact that we were going to be talking to you today. First one from Mitch, straightforward. Goals for 2019?
Goals for 2019, take home another title, stay undefeated, and give people a lot of entertainment, a lot of great nights. I've had a lot of great nights already. At the O2 Arena, my hard fight that I had with the Frenchman. These are fights people will remember, and that's what I want to give the public.
So this one is from Mohammed. Who are you fighting on April the 20th? Do you know yet?
I was just discussing opponents with my trainer now. We're looking for someone decent. I haven't fought in 10 months, so we're going to come back, have someone I can work on a few things, get rid of the ring rust, and crack on with an amazing year.
So what about your dad? There's a couple about your dad. This is always going to be the case. Is he the main reason you got into boxing? That's from Dom.
Far from it. Far from it. It just sort of happened. It wasn't anything planned. It just happened. I just ended up at the O2 Arena in front of 18,000. It just happened. It wasn't like, oh, Dad, yeah, I'm going to be a fighter. And don't get me wrong, I used to admire my dad and love watching my dad fight on YouTube. I wasn't born to see him fight. He was retired by the time I was born, sorry. And no, I admired his fighting. I admired his heart and that he could be a spiteful man in the ring and a loving, caring dad outside of the ring. But no, it just happened. I just thought I'd give this a try, and the rest is history. And
just following on from that one, we've got one from Suffering. Do you feel the pressure that comes with the Benn surname of your dad having achieved what he did?
Sometimes, sometimes your mind can wonder. Everyone has doubts, fears, gets anxious about the thought of X, Y, Z, but not really. I think I'm learning to deal with it. It is what it is. People are seeing me from me coming here at the age of 17, 18, and my family staying in Australia, working on the things I've been working on, doing it all on my own, doing the press conferences on my own, standing up on myself, turning up on Fight Night by myself. Without my dad, right there. Do you know what I mean? So people are starting to see Conor Benn for Conor Benn, I believe, and I say what I say. I am what I am. I don't need no media training. My other fight when I'm like, give it Charlie Big Bananas and all that, and I watch it back and I think, how have I said that after one of my fights? Do you know what I mean? It's just not very professional, but just keeping it real and transparent, because you can't go wrong then, and people see me for who I really am.
Do you think people are, like you just said there, kind of getting more of an idea of what your day-to-day beat is about? Because I think when you turned over, people would have had this idea that, well, Conor Benn, he's probably got a chauffeur and a butler and a chef, and he's not doing it the way that other young pros are doing it, but you are.
Well, listen, I've lived a life of luxury. So when people say, oh, how can you drive this Range Rover? How can you have this Rolex? You're going to lose hunger. I had my own balcony overlooking the sea with my own jacuzzi and ensuite in my own bedroom. And my parents not having to go to work, I thought was normal. And going to a private school, there's only like 30 kids in the school. I thought that was normal. It don't change the fighter I am in here. So when people want to say, oh, you've got this and you've got that way too soon. No, I was born into it. It's nothing new to me. It doesn't stop the hunger. It doesn't stop the desire to get up at 6 in the morning and train, because I want to be the best at what I do. Whatever it is that I do, I want to be the best at whatever it is I do. Down to anything. I wanted to do painting and decorating. Down to that, I wanted to do the job properly. Down to my personal training courses, down to being the best at 1600 metre sprints in school. You know, that's in you. That fight is in you. You know, no matter what you have, what you don't have, I believe you're born with that.
Well, behind us in the ring, by the way, Joe Cordina and Martin J. Ward just going through their paces. Cordina fights on April the 20th too for the vacant British lightweight title against Andy Townend. So those are the two you can see battering the pads. But on to a few more. From John, toughest moments of your career?
Fight in the ring?
Yeah.
Probably when my first match with that Frenchman was quite hard.
Cedric Payno.
Yeah, Cedric Payno. That fight was quite hard. But the second fight I found even harder, believe it or not. So those two nights were probably the toughest nights of my career. Because he could half hit, you know. Like, he could hit. And he hit me in the first round on the rematch on the last fight. And I thought, oh, okay. So I thought he caught me on my worst day with his best shot. That was not the case. Like, he could just hit. He was just heavy-handed and exposed my lack of defence, exposed my lack of X, Y, Z that we're now working on. So April 20th, you'll see a new fighter, slightly adjusted, and you know, you'll see what we've been working on. But those two nights were definitely when I'm thinking, cool, wish my dad told me how hard this is.
So this is a good one. I like this one. Beg your pardon. From Tommy, who's your hero away from boxing?
My dad. My dad is my hero. As I get older, I realise what a legend he actually is. What he had to deal with, what he's overcome, the battles that goes on in his head. He's just an inspirational man. A man of strong character, believed in what he believed in, said what he said, and was one of the people. You know, so you got to admire that. Come from nothing, didn't lose focus on what really matters, and you know, he's just a legend.
So, a couple of questions about more specific fights. When ideally would you fight Josh Kelly? And what would happen?
That keeps getting brought up. You know, people show a lot of interest. Kelly don't say too much about it. I'm just saying it's a big domestic fight. If the fight does happen, when the fight happens, he's a great fighter, and I believe no one's seen the best of me yet. You know, he's had 300, 200 amateur fights. No one cared about if he lost one, and you know, gained experience. I'm learning on the job, as well as being an entertaining fighter, an explosive fighter who don't go down. You know, so, and I'm only getting better, I'm only getting stronger. You got to remember, all these boys are 3-4 years older than me. I'm still only 22. You know, I'm still a baby, I'm still growing, I'm still learning. All I'm saying is I wouldn't shy away from that fight. That's all I'm saying.
So that was from John. I'd imagine this is one that you get quite a bit too. Would you ever step up to middleweight and fight Chris Eubank Jr? I mean, currently he would have to come down from super middleweight to middleweight.
That's so far-fetched. You know, it's a fantasy for people to think that. I mean, like, would I? Yeah, I'd fight anyone. Would I? Of course I would. But it's like, it's far-fetched.
So, Chris Jenkins won the British title at the weekend against Johnny Garton. Would you like to fight him? That's from Rolson.
Definitely. I haven't seen none of his fights. I saw him for the first time when he fought Garton. You know, I was gutted for Garton because I'm a massive fan of Garton. But you know, Jenkins turned up on the night and done the deed, done the damage.
So, in terms of training, this is from Chris. You do a lot of strength and conditioning. What impact does S&C have on you?
Massive. I mean, I'm an explosive fighter who likes to get down low, crouch down low, and all his power stems from my legs. You know, it's only to make sure that these can apply force as quickly as possible with load. You know, so I only do short reps. You know, 3 powerful, fast reps as sharp as I possibly can. You know, it's getting to 0 to 100, and it's how quick you can get from 0 to 100. Which is why I do the strength and conditioning. We measure the speed of which I'm moving the weight. So come fight night, you know, it's a split second bang, and you know that I've applied the force as quick as I can.
So we've got a really good card coming up this weekend from Philadelphia. Katie Taylor looking to add a 3rd world title at lightweight on her step to undisputed. Question from Claire: What do you make of Katie Taylor?
She's a machine. She is a weapon. You know, I watch her fight and I think, I would not like to share the ring with her, you know. I really wouldn't. She's just a very spiteful, God-fearing woman. You know, she just carries the wrath of God in her hands. So yeah, she's an amazing fighter.
Okay, so this one's from Ashley. You've got plenty of tattoos, and you certainly have got plenty of tattoos. What have they got any meaning, or do you just like the way they look?
All of them have meaning. Every single one of them have meaning. Plus, I like the look. You know, the reason why I didn't get tattoos younger, although I'm quite young still and I'm covered now, top half's covered, but I was always like, oh, what if I have to get a job? So, and now that I won't have to get a job, I just thought, you know, I'll just go with what I want to do and get completely covered. You know, so, but the tattoos all have meanings. I look at them and sometimes they're a reminder of what stage I was at a certain time of my life, whether good or bad.
So what's the most recent one?
The most recent one, the tattoo on my neck. I don't know if you can see it, but it's an eagle. So did you know?
Is that not painful?
It's disgustingly painful. Like, but vanity does something to you. Vanity does something to you, but I'm telling you, it was painful. As soon as he drew the line, draw one line, I was like, oh, and I thought, oh, I've started it now. I've got to see this through. And then I've done 8 hours one day, and then 8 hours another day. But shout out to Oliver J Tattoo. Just thought I'd give you a shout out since we're talking about the tattoos. It's a masterpiece. You've got to have an image in the game. You've got to change up the image. There's no other fighter out there that has covered in tattoos like me in Britain. There's no young 22-year-old fighter as exciting as me covered in Britain. And now I'm getting the dreadlocks back, coming back with a little quirky look, you know, changing it up.
Did it ever make you slightly nervous though? Because remember that fight in America? I know you won't forget it. The fight in America where you had the allergic reaction.
That was bad.
Yeah, I mean you did. You said yourself that was you said purely down to my own vanity. I ended up with my head being twice its normal size.
Yeah, that definitely does run through my head sometimes. But I think I've had sometimes I have an allergic reaction to the ink, and the tattoos swell up and they really start itching, and then I have to get the cream out and yeah. But vanity does something to you.
Okay, so last one. This is from Jay. Why don't you and Felix Cash ever smile in photographs?
Because I'm the destroyer. I don't think a laughing, you know, joking about it. No, I'm a serious, bad man, individual. That's the image I try and come across anyway. But I mean, you know, I'm not. But that's, you know, I've got to look hard, got to look solid. You know, make people not want some of this.
So one more. I remember talking to you late 2016. You hadn't been a pro that long then, and you were quite gung ho at that point. And you were talking about winning your dad's titles and winning a world title within about 18 months. And you've become a bit more sort of zen since then, I think. But there was a question, and it was, when do you anticipate boxing for a world title? It's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, it's very hard. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. There's a lot of. It's a hard sport. It's hard, you know, down to the domestic fights, let alone European, then let alone world. You know, so when I don't like putting a time on things because if I don't reach the time, I'll drive myself up the wall. But I think 3 years. I think 25. Starting to get getting my man strength. 3 years of learning, but it's from now until I'm 25 of how we can have as many learning fights as I can without just blowing people over, but going into fights, working on a lot of things, dealing with the pressure on the night, because that's what gets to me. It's not that I ain't got the ability. It's not that I'm not punching heads in sparring, but come fight night, it's another whole ball game when you know you've got millions on TV watching, expectations of people watching, especially when I'm fighting someone that I should bowl over. That puts more pressure on me. I'm going to tell them, no, I want someone with a good record, mate. I want someone who's half decent because there's less pressure. When I'm fighting someone who's lost 20 fights and I don't look good against that person who's had 20 fights, that's where the pressure comes in. But then when I'm fighting someone who's half decent, all my knockouts have been against undefeated kids or kids who haven't been stopped before. So that's what I want. Less pressure, let it flow, you know, that's what we're working on. It's still a work in progress. It's only the other day I was a little boy sitting here with the first time doing my Sky interview. It was only yesterday, really, on the grand picture of things. So I'm way ahead of schedule, way ahead of what I thought where I would be. You know, 15,000 at the O2 on my last fight against that pain hub. They were there for me. They turned up there for me. The crowd was mad. And I stood there and I thought, wow, this has happened overnight. Let's see what happens in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. because I ain't going to ever give up.
Well, we'll look forward to it, and as we say, we'll next see you on April the 20th on that show with your teammate Joe Cordina and plenty of others on it as well, Derek Chisora, David Allen. Conor, thanks very much for your time, for joining us as always. That wraps it up for today. Give us a listen on the podcast later on, and we'll catch you again next time.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.